All right, everybody, we're back here. Rev it up at 49th Annual World of Wheels here in Salt Lake City, Utah. And the crowds are kind of slowing down here a little bit, but we're finally getting hold of some of these builders. They've been vacant from their spots, I'll say. So, yeah, which would be you. So, I sent Mike Waltenberry on a wild goose chase there to go find some people. I thought everybody just didn't show up to the show. They just dropped their stuff off and left or something. It was really weird. But so we finally got a hold of Randy Weaver from Weaver Customs over here out of West Jordan, which has got some killer trucks over there. And we finally were able to get a hold of him, and Mike chased you down. So, Mike, welcome, Randy, welcome to the show.
Thanks, buddy.
And so we now we kind of figure out how this all ties together with your wife kind of run this whole place, who I met Friday when I got here. I think it was, yeah.
Her and Sherry, they do a great job.
Yeah.
You just can't say enough about it. But yeah, I'm glad to be here.
You're glad to be here, yeah. So we were looking at some of your rides over there, and man, first thing, of course, that caught my eye was the Sanford and Son truck, and that was really cool.
That truck is actually really cool. The owner called me up, and I've never met the guy. He's going to fly in, I think, in 3 weeks, and he's going to drive that truck home.
And you've never met him?
Never met him.
And what was it, about a 2-year build, like you're saying?
About a year.
About a year.
Year for that truck. But just a nice guy, and he's like, I have a couple, electric hot rods and stuff, but I want something with a little more sound to it. And I'm like, perfect. I said, we can do that. So it's Roadster Shop chassis, Gen 3 Coyote 5.0, 10-speed automatic. I mean,
that Coyote motor.
Yeah, just super, really, really cool. But left everything, all patina.
Yeah.
Nothing real fancy. But everything underneath is really badass. Interior, same thing. AC, power windows.
Yeah, it's a beautiful truck. It's a very cool truck.
Right. Thank you.
So he just calls you up out of nowhere, never meets you at all. Just tells you what you want, sends you a deposit or however you get starting to go on. Yeah.
Yep. And he sent that truck out, and away we went.
Really?
Yeah.
That is cool. So you don't ever meet it when you have a customer like that, you never meet. So what do? Do you just kind of you just give them progress photos as it's going on how you want?
A lot of pictures. A lot of pictures.
Okay. I can understand
just a lot of progress.
Okay.
It's every time I do something, I send a picture.
Okay.
Pictures, videos, just everything I can do to reassure them that it's kicking ass and taking names.
And you've built up quite a clientele. You said you've been in business about 25 years.
25 years.
Wow.
Yeah, 25 years I had my business.
So. Wow. And you've got quite the clientele. Like we were just talking before. Like, so you started this 25 years ago, and you were out from Colorado.
Yep.
You're from
a cowboy.
Kid. You're a cowboy, ranch kid.
Yeah.
And I like the interesting story. We are kind of touching base on it before. So when you're doing hot rods and everything like that, you kind of finance your stuff by doing a little boxing and a little tough man contest.
Yeah.
Huh?
So I did everything. I mean, it was digging post holes for $1 a post hole.
Yeah.
To boxing and fighting on Saturday night.
So just local taverns, or what are we talking
about? Yeah, basically local stuff.
Yeah,
I'd travel 30 miles.
Yeah.
And, I'd win. Luckily, I won a lot of them, but I lost quite a few.
Yeah. Okay.
But, second place would always pay $500.
Okay. So it's either 1,000 or 500. Yeah.
Back then.
Yeah. So win or lose, you're making some money.
Yep. And then, I started training, and, I'm like, I'm actually pretty good at this stuff. So, let's train a little bit and maybe do better. And then I actually got better. And I was like, so it was $1,000 every Saturday.
Cash. Wow. Cash money on top of the job.
Yeah. And then I go do my cowboy stuff and all the ranch stuff that paid money.
Okay.
I graduated high school, and that was it. No college,
No college. You were just on your own.
Yep. All self-taught.
Yeah. So how did the cowboy thing and being on the ranch, obviously a lot of kids always have this in their blood, but how did you know you want to start building on your own?
So I had a friend that came up. Actually, my dad, let's back up. So my dad bought me a truck when I was 14, because every parent wants to buy their kid, their first truck if they can.
Yeah, we always buy our kids their first vehicle.
Correct.
Sure.
And we were very, hardly any money. And he brought me this 52 Chevy truck, little half-ton truck, driving 235, 3-speed, blah, blah, blah. But a nice little truck. And that was my very first truck. And to this day, I still have that truck. And that's what got that, in my blood. And then I just started bringing them home and going from there.
So what did you start doing first? What was your best thing? The engines, body, chopping top, metalwork?
I didn't give a shit about a body or chat, like body work, anything. I just wanted to go fast.
You just want to go fast,
Yep.
like every other kid does.
So
Yep.
drag racing was my first deal.
Okay.
I made sure it stopped, steered, and passed, cert, tech. But go fast.
Yeah. Go
Now-
fast and be
that-
safe.
that
That was
drag
your
race.
first passion.
Yep.
Yep. To go fast.
Drag racing was my deal. Every Friday, Saturday night.
Okay. Did you run a circuit, or was it more street racing, or you had track, or what did you do?
Always street race and stuff, but
Yeah.
a lot of track stuff.
A lot of track stuff.
And then I went to car show stuff. I had a friend come up and says, "Want to go to car show?" And I always go to little car shows and stuff. And
Oh, yeah, for sure.
He's like, "There's a big car show coming up. I want to go to that car show." And I'm like, "Sure, I'll go to it." And then that was 1997. Maricruz came through my town in Colorado, and Troy Painter had the sniper there.
Yeah, that's a name that's been in the past for sure. Yeah,
And
one of the
Troy-
best builders in the world.
Troy
back then.
Painter was the guy that got me started.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
He had the sniper there, and I'm like, in the sniper, I look at it nowadays, I'm like, it's badass. That is what got me where I'm at now.
Wow.
And I was like, and to this day,
And
I'm
Troy
like,
was the man back then. He was the name.
and he's still the man.
Still the man. Yeah.
But from that day on, I was like, and then Chip Foose came along, all that stuff. And then I just started aligning myself with, great people.
Yeah.
I go to these bigger car shows and whatnot and start learning and see these nice builds out there. And I'd go introduce myself and try to make the best out of it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how it started.
Really. So and then when did you start getting your own shop? Now you were out in Colorado for a while there,
Yeah.
but then you something happened in between there where you met this girl here somewhere.
Yeah.
And that,
I met my wife. So she was from Salt Lake City.
okay. You met her at a horse show, right?
Yep. Met her at a horse show because I did horses.
Yeah.
And I was a cowboy. So that was my other form of money to support cars, besides box and all that other stuff. So I met her, and then we kicked it off, and I dated her long distance for 9 years.
Wow.
9 years.
9 years. That's
9 years.
Time.
I mean, who does that for 9 years?
Who does it for 9 years without getting her married?
9
Yeah.
years. And she worked over
who was undecided? You or her?
is me.
It's you. It's always us.
She just knew horses.
Yeah.
She knew nothing about a car or
Yeah.
a bike. I did a lot of bikes and stuff, but knew nothing about a car. And she came over we traveled back and forth long distance for 9 years. And she hung out at the damn shop. And I'm like, you know what? She just sit around. And I'm like, if you're going to hang out here, you're going to learn something. And she stuck it out.
She stuck it out. And you bought her first car, didn't you?
Yep. 54 Bel Air.
Okay.
Yep. 4 doors, 3 on the tree, 235. I mean, and she fixed it up. She put it in flat black primer. And, I taught her everything that I could, back in that day.
Sure.
Cheetah print interior. I says, go to Walmart, buy you some cheetah print shit and, put it in there,
Yeah, to
And
make your interior look cool.
Oh, she had the blast, she had a blast. And that's kind of how,
Wow.
it just snowballed from there.
Now, whatever happened with the 54? That's still around?
No, I sold that.
Sold that one.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I paid $500 for it, and we put another 500 in it or something.
Yeah, that was about it.
Yeah.
It's gonna dump that one down.
And then I just kept upgrading her, and I built her a car every year. And then I built her, quite a few high-end cars,
Okay.
big 6-figure cars.
Yeah, big 6-figure cars. Yeah.
And then we'd take them to Barrett Jackson and sell them.
Oh, that's
off it.
cool.
Yeah. And that helped the business, grow.
Yeah. So when did you get from just the average guy in a garage to going to do the high end builds? Well, did you get to high end right away, or did you do average
Nope.
cars?
90. So I did everything under the sun. So whether it was a chop top, Mustang tube front end, exhaust work, wiring, that was in 97 ish.
Okay.
Right. And then my first big build was in 98. And that whole build was like 60 grand. And to me,
which was a lot of money back then.
That was
a lot of money for a build back then. Yeah.
A lot of money. It was a super cool truck, 55 second series, big blown, big block Chevy, blah, blah, blah. But I look back at that nowadays and I'm like, how did I even build that goddamn thing for that much?
Yeah, because We were talking before on your clientele. Now your builds usually take about a year and a half, 2 years.
Year and a half,
Good.
2 years.
And nowadays with your high end builds, you keep it at such a line. So you said before you start right now, your average build starts about 300,000, right?
100 grand. You know what I mean? That's just kind of the average build.
That's the average build.
And that's a nice build. Don't get me wrong.
Right, but that's your
a-
starting point these
Correct,
days.
correct.
And it's where do you think the industry changed so much? Like you from 60 grand. I mean, I know parts and labor and everything has changed so much. And do you think it's just because the chassis and the engine and drivetrains, what they're going with all this stuff? That's where,
Yeah, parts and stuff obviously went up.
yeah.
Just everything went up. But I think involvement. I think when you evolve, I think stuff goes up.
Oh yeah, for sure. We've seen so many shops. Look at all the average Joe shops that we know around that were, I wouldn't want to say average Joe. I'll retract that a minute. But I mean, the higher end shops that when you and I were younger, and we're same demographic, same age group here. But look at how you said at 50 grand. It was a lot of money back then. It was. I mean, if we had a Chevelle or a Camaro or a pickup truck with 50 grand, people thought we were nuts.
Dude, and I'd show you pictures of this truck. It was nice, but yeah, 60 grand.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I look back and I'm like, no way.
Well, I mean, you've been part of the industry your whole life too. And now if I tell people that I'm out on the show circuit and somebody says, okay, well, what do you think that's worth? What do you think this truck is here worth? And I said, probably starts at 200, could go up to 400 easy. And they look at some of the people that don't know, look at us like we're absolutely nuts, or they think that guys like you or guys that, the other high names out here that are making a killing off every grand. Oh man, he must have made 150 grand off that build. I'm like, do you know how many hours it takes to make that vehicle look like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And no fault on them, right?
Yeah, because they don't know.
They don't.
I mean, you can't
Education.
hit them. Be educated. We're not educated in everything either, so we, agree.
And I educate every person that walks up to me, as much as I can educate them, because I don't know everything. I mean, you don't know everything, right?
No,
so I mean, it's like
no.
just do the best you can.
Yeah.
And so I educate them, and they're like, 20,000, for this build or whatever. That does not, so you have to educate them.
Yeah, and it's when you go through and the average paint job. Remember, the average paint job was a couple grand. We thought it was crazy to paint our car, and now you go into some of these shops and it's about 30 grand to get started.
Yep.
On a clean rust-free body.
Yep, 50 grand minimum.
Yeah.
For body and paint, and that's on like the low end.
That's
right?
on the low end.
So,
we tell people that before when we're going through and doing that on the low end of it, and we get some people that say, "What's all done? Is it candies?" I'm like, "No, that's your basic paint job.
Base coat, clear coat, white."
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Kind of gapped, kind of panel matched. Yeah. So I mean, a lot of education goes in all that stuff. But you have to start from somewhere. Right. So, and that's where I started. When someone came up to me when I was just starting, they're like, that paint job's going to cost 10 grand. And that's back in the 90s. I was like, no way.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
And now I look at it and go, because I do it for a living.
You do it for a living now. And you know what it costs and shop. And people don't understand the overhead and what guys were getting paid. And, it used to be before, when we did this industry before, guys like us were looked down upon for being the car guy, the mechanic, the wrench. And now you look at what happened over the years. You were, like I said, we're sort of the same time frame. So you and I were starting out in the computer area where everybody was getting out of the job, and us lower end for the mechanics and the construction workers and the cowboys and all that stuff. And, I grew up in farms and stuff up by me in Wisconsin too. So we're the same way. And all our other friends, a lot of guys that I knew were getting college educated going to do the computer industry.
Yeah.
And now I look at how it's flipped around in my industry. Yeah. A lot of these guys would die to do what we're doing, and some can't get the job to do whatever they're doing. Exactly. And we're now the pay scales have evened out, I believe. I think so.
And I think, I don't know, times have really changed.
Yeah, for sure.
What a young kid wants for pay nowadays.
Yeah.
That's good. I don't even want to go there. It's just silly.
It's
yep.
I know how it is because when you and I we were happy to sweep the floor of somebody's shop to get in the door. To learn. Or if that truck's going on, any of these trucks are going to a show, we would be happy and honored to wash that truck, clean it here. And they want the top pay coming in to wash the wheels and pull it out of the shop.
Yep.
Or like you said, make a video of themselves. It's just crazy to me where it's all came to. And I get it. That's the era that we're living into. But they see guys like you in a booth with your name and everything out there and walking around in t-shirt and jeans, so that they think, hey, I can do that. I can do any of this stuff, And and as far as it is going through, and the same thing with us. So, but they don't have the skill set or the mindset as far as going back and
No.
doing it anymore. And
I think it's 1 in 100
if you're lucky,
that will have that.
Yeah.
And that's why I only have 3 of us in our
you're a
shop.
3-man shop. Yeah.
And I do not have to worry about them. They're not always on that goddamn thing.
Yeah.
Social media, Snapchat.
No.
They're focused on their job.
Yeah. And that's the way it should be.
Yep. And I do not have to babysit them. Don't have to tell them what to do. Sure, I'll guide them through and tell them what I want.
Yeah.
But I don't have to, sit there and go micromanage.
We've got one mechanic back at home, and I don't even think he doesn't even know how to get on anything. If I tell him to look up the internet and stuff, and that's why I love him. I'm like, I can look in the shop. I know he's not doing anything wrong, and we've even got a big screen TV in the middle of the shop in the main showroom, the main work area.
Yeah.
So in case he has to look something up, he can look it up on there. He won't even turn that thing on. He just looks it up on his phone. He goes, I don't even want to touch that thing.
Yeah.
So and it's hard to find. It's hard to find these days.
That it's funny you say that. So I have a good friend. His son is showing a car here.
Okay.
Johnny Martin's Custom. He's at Riddler winner, grade 8 cars, and he still has a flip phone.
I still have
and he's right over there. Johnny Martin's right over there. And that that you brought that up. And
yeah.
And he does not. He'll call me, text me, whatever, and send me pictures. But he's still on a flip phone.
I still blows me away. My mother is 82 years old, and I know a lot of people, just like you said, your buddy over there. Somehow, my mother and some other people that have the flip phone, she broke her phone, and I had to go find this damn thing again. And I had to go. We looked for it. We found the same one. I mean, she broke the phone, and I went to go. I said, okay, here's another one. Just nope, that's not what I was used to. And you know what I mean? Because she had it for 15 years, so I had to go find this damn thing and get it special ordered in for her. And she can still text like crazy on it. And that's the one where you got to hit 1, 2, 3, A, B, C. And that's probably what your buddy does.
Go look for Johnny. He does the same shit.
And that blows me away because I remember when we had it. Remember when we first had it? It drove me nuts.
We thought it was the coolest shit since sliced bread.
Oh man, if I said hi to you or do whatever, I thought, oh man, it's so cool, And now I look at it, I'm like, how do we do that?
Yeah.
But a lot of these kids, they don't realize it either. I talked to my mom and dad, and I talked to my daughter the same thing too. About we had one phone on the wall. And we left the house. We didn't know what was going on. We were in the shop. That's probably why we got so much done back then, too, because we weren't worried about that phone. We weren't worried about anything else, and you can do it. Now everybody wants to go through and, like you said, the pictures on social media. It's great. I understand it. It gets your name out there and all this other stuff. It's cool, but...
all the social media stuff's great.
Yeah.
In a way. My wife handles almost all that stuff.
Sure.
I'll do it once in a while, but, yeah. I mean, I order a lot of parts from that goddamn thing.
Oh, yeah.
That's all, I order parts and, so
that's about all you got.
Yeah.
And you're happier that way.
Yep.
I started doing a lot of our stuff too online. And then now, like I said, you just met Austin and Jess is back home. She takes care of our stuff too. I'm like, I used to do it. I'm like, okay, I don't know what to tag and do all the other stuff. So I don't do it anymore. So, So it's good. The
hashtag, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. See, and then I'll do the wrong one. I actually, it's funny you brought this up because I actually just made a post before. And she's like, you tagged the wrong person. You checked the wrong thing. And I'm like, whatever. I'll delete it. I'll do it. You know what I said? I'll delete the post. She's like, no, you got to do it. I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, when did that become so important in our lives?
Yeah.
You know what I mean, it's so crazy.
But nowadays, I think that's kind of
it's the driving force.
It's the norm.
It's the norm.
It's the norm.
I would have never thought we would have got here if you'd asked me this when I got to school 30-some years ago. And I was like, no way. It'll never take over. And it's took over for sure. You got to check in, and no matter where you're at, so you got another cool up and coming build too. You got with a good singer rapper, Post Malone.
Post Malone, doing a Rolls Royce for him.
Okay,
gonna be really cool.
Now did he actually come to the shop and meet you? Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. Good family, great kid, great family.
Yeah,
So it'll be a fun build.
Really,
and it's kind of a top secret deal, but pictures.
We will talk about that.
Done,
but
good people.
Really, really cool. Really nice.
They just leave me alone.
Yeah.
Let me do my thing, and it's going to be really cool.
That's very cool. Very cool.
Like a wide body Phantom. It's really cool. So.
Oh, that'd be cool. So is that a design he came up with or you helped out with?
So they wanted kind of a wide body. So Rolls-Royce builds a swept tail, and that's what it's going to be. But it takes them like 5 years to build one.
Wow, really?
A lot of money.
Oh, sure, for sure.
And he's like, I don't like 5 years. So that's kind of how this all came. So we did our own thing and kind of uh, you know, make it kind of our own,
Mhm.
kind of something he likes,
Yeah, yeah.
and something different.
So now, who does it? Who comes up with the main design of the car? Is that you?
No, so actually, Cam Miller in Logan came up with the rendering.
Okay.
Um, and he did the rendering, and it's a really cool rendering. It's a wide body, crazy type deal. Did a killer job. HS Customs.
Okay.
So we're going off that. Different wheels, but it's like 4 inches wider. Just a real cool concept.
Okay. And that is it. Is it this can be a full custom interior, everything?
Oh, yeah.
Right? Okay.
Yeah.
Very
Yep.
Cool. Very
Yep.
cool.
Yep.
Yeah.
Top to bottom, but something that's never been done.
Yeah. And that you like more things that are out of the norm, or you like normal?
No, out of the norm.
Out of the normal, yeah. It's something that nobody's done before.
If you don't like it, I like it.
Yeah, that's cool. That's really cool.
Yep.
So if you guys, so as far as it going on, so who are as far as the clientele, so how do they always find you? They just found you from other shows, or you always got a good reputation, or
Yeah. So we do a lot of shows every year
Mhm.
from SEMA, Barrett Jackson, Hot Rod Power Tour, coast to coast. Autoramas, obviously, but yep. So, and it's just kind of, the internet based thing is kind of, the Sanford and Sons, truck.
Yeah.
Internet based.
Internet based.
Yep.
There you go. And that's like you said, you never even met the guy. He just found you out, and he followed you out and wanted.
Correct. The gray truck that I built that's next to it.
Yeah.
Internet based.
Really?
Yep. Great family out of Amarillo, Texas. Mark called me up and he says, I watched a video on YouTube and it had Django on it. And Django was a real famous unibody truck.
Yeah.
That I built. Cummins powered, 1,500 horse, blah, blah, blah. Really, it was one of the very first unibodies Fords that was actually really cool.
Okay.
And so he kind of, went off on that and he's like, I want to buy a truck and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you know what? Let's just build you a truck. And so we came up with a 5-window Chevy and he's like, what do you think about a diesel? And I'm like, yeah, let's do a Duramax diesel in this thing. The twin turbo Duramax. And those guys, Jessica and Mark, are the best. I mean, they're such a nice couple. Oh, the greatest customers ever.
Okay.
I mean, that's a dream customer. And I've had a lot of great customers, but those guys, are great customers. And they just let me have free reign.
And do what you want.
Yep.
That's a beautiful rig. Me and Mike were over there looking at that one earlier with the diesel on it.
Yep. And, I says, you know what, guys? I says, to have a little, skin in the game, pick a paint color. Because I don't want to do all of it. You got to have your ideas.
Yeah, they got to have some idea what they want to do.
Correct. I just don't want to build you, have your ideas in it. And they're like, I said, go pick paint color. And they're like, we like the grays you build. The gray, flat grays and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, go find a color. And so they went to a Porsche dealership and found that color that's on that truck. And it's a chalk gray Porsche.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, that's perfect. So they came up with that color. And then I says, now let's do a name. I said, Duramax has to be in the name. And they said, we like ski boats. I mean, they're on the lake every damn weekend.
Okay.
And they have Nautica boats, Nautica ski boats. So that's where Naughty D came in. So Naughty is the Nautica ski boat.
Nautica ski boat.
And the D is for Duramax.
That's really cool.
Yep.
How it all comes together. There's always a name or a reason for that,
I mean, just a great couple. And that's how that one came about.
So now, do you have how many customers do you have that are repeat customers? You do more than one build for?
Yep. So I'll drop that one off in a couple months and pick up their Nova. And I have a 70 Nova or 71 Nova.
There you go.
Yep.
Really?
Yeah.
So after you finish a build for somebody every year, every 2 years, is there kind of a thing where you always take it on the tour with you?
Yep. I keep it for a year.
You keep it for a year.
Yep.
So after you get done with the build, okay. So that's part of the contract or the build agreement. Is that after you get it, you don't just deliver it to them?
Nope.
You get to keep it and show it for the year.
Because anybody that knows this game, if you build a car, high-end car, like that one, if you drop it off in their house, it's going to break down.
Oh, it's going to have a lot.
It's a fresh build.
Yeah.
So I keep it for a year. I go drive it and work, bugs out to do the best I can do to make it, as good as I can get,
Okay.
instead of just drop it off and,
Yeah, you take it and you go and do it. You do it.
and then break down.
And plus, they're getting recognition. So a lot of people that you do this stuff for, I'm sure they come and visit you at the shows and see their vehicles and stuff like that. So it's really cool.
Yep. And, they like that stuff. They like the limelight, the magazines, and who doesn't?
Oh yeah, because I mean, it's their car, it's their vehicle.
Correct. So they see it in a magazine, TV, podcast, whatever.
Yeah.
They love it. And so that's kind of why I keep it for a year and work the bugs out and, rock and roll.
Good. So now, right now, you said you got about, your shop's about 8,000 square foot shop, right?
Small shop.
And you run you got about 4 builds going on at one time?
Just full on builds, higher end builds.
Higher end builds, yeah.
No piecework. Just ground up.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then basically somebody comes up, a designer calls you up and say, okay, I want to do this. And you get the build over there, get your deposit and start rolling, huh?
Yep. We set a debut, if I'm going to debut. So like the gray truck, I debuted in Reno at Hot August Nights. That was its debut. I always set a debut. Fans.
I saw some skin out of the corner of my eye. And I'm like, that ain't what skin I was looking for.
I always set a debut. Get out of here.
Yep.
So I never miss a debut.
Really? Never missed a debut.
25 years, never missed a debut.
And what do you usually set out? 2 years?
So year and a half, 2 years.
Year and a half, 2 years.
Yeah.
You never missed a debut.
Yeah. So 25 years, never missed debut. So whether it's SEMA, Hot August Nights, Power Tour, Autorama, Syracuse Nationals in New York, never miss a debut.
Good.
Never miss it.
So what's your favorite show that you go to?
Power Tour.
Power Tour.
And that's really not a car show.
No, we go.
It's a rolling car show.
It's a rolling car show. So when you do Power Tour, do you hit every stop?
Every stop.
Every stop.
Long. Yep. My wife and I, we build a new one every year. So every year we build a new truck or car.
Now you're talking for yourself.
For ourselves.
For yourself. And
yep. Just for vacation.
Just vacation. Just you build a vehicle on top of your other builds.
Yep. I make it happen.
And you make it happen. And then what do you do with that vehicle? Does it go in your collection?
So we promote it. So SEMA, car shows, and then Barrett Jackson Scottsdale.
And then you take this, and then that funds the next one.
Yep. And then we have a lot of sponsors, Detroit Steel Wheels, Hides Upholstery, leather, Kicker, you name it. We have all those sponsors, which we go out and promote,
I mean, that's what the sponsor did. You have sponsors for?
Dude, yeah. Hot Rod Power Tour is like the ultimate for, advertisement. But yeah, so that's probably my favorite. And we've done that for 15 years now?
Really? 15 years now. Wow.
Yep, I build a new one every year.
So what's the last build you did? What's last year's build?
So last year's was a International Scout, twin turbo LS3 from GM. Just a really cool pro touring wide body deal. And then we sold it at Barrett and went to SEMA and all that. Yep. And on to the next.
Have you ever been disappointed in what your builds bring at the show?
Nope.
The auction?
Nope.
No. Did they always exceed what you're thinking?
They always do good. Knock on wood. They never owe us anything. Just because, sponsors in that relationship that, that brings.
Right.
We would never have that relationship, if it wasn't for, all the traveling and all that shit. So they don't owe us anything.
Okay.
If we can keep those relationships rocking and rolling.
So now so when you're doing this, is she full time with you now?
My wife?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's the other half of business.
The other half of business. Yep. And how long has that been going on?
Since 2002.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. That's cool.
So the first time, it's kind of embarrassing. It's not embarrassing, but learning curve. When I first started dating her, she came in, I says, babe, I need someone to look at my books, run my books. And she worked for NBC for 15 years.
Okay.
TV. So she's all about TV.
Sure.
She
so
wrote and broke big contracts. She was the lady.
So she knew all about it.
Yeah. And comes from a great family that's just totally business, just right where they need to be.
Sure.
And I says, they said, you need to look at my books and, if you can help me keep track of it. And she looked at my books and was like, holy shit. Because I graduated high school. I didn't, I'm kind of street smart,
Right.
and I know how to work with my hands, but I'm not, like her smart.
Yeah, the book's smart. And
She's business smart.
She's
She's all business.
So she was a little shocked at the books when she saw them.
Oh, fuck. Oh, yeah. I don't know if I'm supposed to cuss, but yeah.
You can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
No.
She was, and I'm like, fix it. And so, yeah, she stuck around and holy shit.
Yeah. So now you can still do whatever you want. I can still do whatever because she cooks the books.
Yep.
That's cool.
And she keeps it all straight. But, at the beginning, I was like, yeah.
Kind of a hot mess.
Oh, I love cars. I love to work and I love to, and I was partying. I love to party and I'd go make $1,000 and spend it and, that night, and it was just kind of the way we were or I was. And, the shop was a free for all and everybody come in to party and we'd have barbecues and
you're footing a bill for everything.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I know how that.
Because no one's going to pay the shit.
No.
No, those fuckers ain't going to pay that.
No, because if you're giving them free shit away every single night, it's free beer, and we used to do it. I know how it goes because I've had shops my whole life, and I'll be sitting there on a Thursday night, and somebody like, hey, you have an open shop night, so I'll go to the store at 3 or 4 o'clock, and I know you did the same thing, and I'll go get some burgers and some beer, and I get 20, 30 people. Oh, this is cool. They all like hanging out.
Yeah.
But yeah, but then you realize every single month that costs you $400 or $500 a month.
Yep. And
you start doing it up, and all of a sudden, like, holy cow! I spent $7,000 on my parties at my shop. I haven't hanging on Thursday night, and you're tired. You don't even want to be there, and you barely even have a drink. You know what I mean? Because you're still working.
I did that every weekend for how long?
Years.
But I had fun. I was raking in money, like I was doing exhaust jobs, and where I came from, everybody wanted dual exhaust, and so I was doing them for like $350, and I could whip them out in a couple hours. I would clear a week, $5-6 grand.
Sure.
And that's a lot of money in cash.
And cash, yeah.
And I'd spend it that weekend.
And that would really. And how long that was before you met her?
Oh, and after I met her, because we dated long distance for 9 years.
But you're still doing it.
Still doing it. Because I just loved having fun.
Well, yeah. And so how far after you guys gotten serious? How much did she put the kibosh on that?
It had been about 2005.
Yeah.
So 5 years in.
Yeah. I was on my own for a long time too, and mine looked at the books of what I was doing too, and she's like, you know how much money you waste on food and stupid shit?
Yeah.
I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, do whatever. And then all of a sudden, because we're bachelors, so we go to the store, and I'll have to take my daughters with me, and I always go to the store and I'm hungry, and then I'll go through, and next thing you know, well, nowadays we just talk about how prices go. I spent like $250 the other day.
Yeah.
And I was getting meat, and I'm like, I don't even know what I bought.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I always get home and she'll say, hey, what is there anything to eat in the fridge? And then she gets really mad. Yeah. Or if we go out to eat somewhere for lunch. Yep. Yep. But it's good. It keeps us grounded. I'm not complaining no more though. So.
And she'd come over and look at my books because she'd travel 320 miles.
Yeah. To come see you.
To Delta, Colorado. And she'd look at my books and be like, and it would just, everything she fixed would go to shit.
Had she put up with that for how long?
9 years.
9 years. Ooh.
And I'm like, you know what? Finally, I got smart. And I'm like, you know what? This shit ain't changed. I'm going to get married. And I'm like, I'm moving my shop to Utah.
So you picked up everything you knew and you moved over here.
I moved everything. I picked up cold turkey and
moved. And you never looked back?
My parents and everybody's still over there, but yep. And I miss it.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I'm good now.
Yeah.
But it was like, I would take thousands of dollars and just dump it.
I think that's the norm with a lot of guys that get through and do stuff and they realize they can make the money.
Oh, and it was fun. When you get $1,000 cash in your hand, that's a lot. It's like,
it's a lot of play money. It's a lot of play money.
Like, whoa.
Yeah.
I'd go fight, so I'd go fighting on Saturday night and I win $1,000, $1,500. Sometimes 500, sometimes nothing. That was a lot of money.
And you blew it in a weekend.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I'd go drink it away and party with my friends and go buy food and steaks and And she was right there with me. A lot of that she was right there with me, but and she just hang out, and
And
she,
listen,
didn't,
and,
she
and
never
watch.
said anything.
Wow.
And finally, I was
That's
like, you know
crazy.
what? That's
Yeah.
not,
And
So,
I think it's the same way. Yeah. When they
yep,
go through, seems like a lot of guys go through it. I think Mike and I were just talking about before about how like the stories like the Mike Tysons and all that stuff
yeah,
about how much money they made.
yeah,
I think we were listening to a story the other day about how he went to a car dealership and just because he could, he went and bought every car in the lot
yep,
and gave them all away
yep. I just
because he was used to having that kind of money.
piss it away.
Piss it away. So now things are a little bit different in the old Weaver household.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm growing up and I'm like, yeah, I go to bed at try to 10 o'clock
Yeah.
if I'm at,
Yeah.
from the shop. But,
Of course.
Yeah.
Yep. And up
Nope.
work early in the morning. Yeah.
I haven't been to a bar in I don't know how many years.
Really. Yeah.
Nope. So, yeah, it's pretty down to earth now.
Well, it's pretty down there. But you're loving it. No, I can tell.
I love it.
Yeah, that's great.
And I wouldn't change any of my past. I wouldn't
No,
change
because it
any of
made
that.
who you are today.
Nope.
Yeah,
You
because you go through the way today, and I mean, you have a great history of all the things
Right.
you did with your builds and everything, so you wouldn't change it for the world.
And that I think is the true American story. I did everything I could. I fought. I did everything with my hands to make stuff work.
You make your world. Yeah.
And I learned from mistakes, and to where I'm at today.
Well,
And hang around with good people, and
I think that's a big thing too, is hanging
Oh.
with positive people and
Oh.
successful people makes you successful.
I went to car shows, and first time I watched, Troy Painter's, the sniper car, I just was blown away. And then Chip Goose, and I moved here, and Dave, I think he started in '97 or something like that. But he was good and going. I went over there and hung out there, and I was just hang around with good people.
Yeah.
Good reputable people.
I think it's a proven theory. I think it's been through before you.
It is.
That's kind of like the saying, look at your friends, look at your future.
Yep. If you
Yeah,
want to
but-
hang around with, and tell you the truth, if I would have hang around with back home,
Mm-hmm.
I'd have been nothing.
Oh, yeah, very true.
I've still been partying, maybe not even alive. So yeah, thank God for my wife and importing me. And
Yeah, it's true. You go through. I mean, we all had those friends in the past, and there's some that get really ticked off that that you go through and you don't. I don't want to say you leave them in the dust, but that's another price you have to pay though too. Is friends that you've had for a long time, and when you're doing other things like you work 24/7, I can tell, sort of, and that's how we do what we do. But some friends are like, oh, I invited you to my party or invited you out there and go see a band. I'm like, man, I don't have time. I can't do it.
Right.
But then they see us doing other things and like, oh, they're too good for us. No, it's not too good for you. It's just that we're on two different, runways here. Man.
And I'm glad I did that. I'm glad I took that path, from that life. And now I'm golden.
Yeah. And now you're set. Now you're set.
A
lot of people don't like
care
it.
in the world.
And I think years ago, it used to kind of get to me a little bit when my friends would go always through and we're at a show or we're doing something else or whatever success, you're doing some interview. And they're like, oh yeah, look at them, they get, I'm like, it's not really what I was doing, but it's where I took my life.
Right.
Just because they were out back. And like I said, I left a big group behind too years ago. And sometimes you run solo and sometimes you run with a single little pack, like you said, 2 or 3 guys in the shop, or just bring one of your buddies with you and stuff like that. And that's all that matters. I'd rather have one solid than 50 fake. And there's a lot of fake out there, man. There's a lot of fake out there for sure.
Yep. So my motto is hang around with good people, good shops, talented builders, that you can learn from, and then good business people as well.
Business is what counts.
Business.
There's
You can be the best builder in the world, but if you don't have business behind it, you're totally shit.
Yeah. And that's the truth. That's the truth, because you can go ahead and have the best builds, everything in the world, and all the success in the world, but you could be broke.
Totally.
Like you just said, you're
Totally shit.
yeah. You could have 3 or 4 builds in the shop at like you said, 300-400 grand a piece. That could be $1 million having broke. But and I mean, I know some guys back home that have done that where they were gonna do this and that, and we were trying to be hang out. And I was trying to tell them my opinion of what was going on.
Yeah.
They don't want to hear it, and they got 3 or 4 builds in the shop, and instead of getting them done and do whatever, they would put them on the back burner and take on more work. Well, I kind of did this and spent this to do it. I'm like, you should have finished that build. And next thing you know, they're doing they're doing collision work and everything else like that to come around. And it don't work that way. So
Rob and Peter to pay Paul,
Yeah, that's the biggest thing.
It's
Yeah.
no good. And I've never. That's one thing I will never do.
No, you can't.
If I take your money, I'm going to build that car.
Yeah.
Or do my job.
Or do your job. Right.
I'm not going to go spend that money and then take the next customer
and then
and
build
pay
your,
for that
build
first
your
guy.
car and then keep going and going. Yeah.
Never.
No.
And so I mean that's kind of the way my motto is.
No, that's great.
You know.
That's really great. So before we wrap up, about how far out are you for getting the car done? If somebody comes to your shop, calls you up tonight or tomorrow morning.
I don't want to look at the car for 3 years.
That's the way a lot of these builds are. Yep. Yep.
And you know, we just do full on builds. But yeah, 2-3 years. I don't
2-3 years. Yeah, you don't.
I do my, I do my Barrett Jackson cars for my investment.
Yeah.
For my, Sydney and our, personal
right,
deal.
right. We're going through.
And then customer stuff.
Yeah, so we go through. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you go through. So that's cool. That's really cool. So you got it set up. You two got it going on.
Yep.
That's cool.
Small shop.
Small shop. You got a powerhouse. You got a power couple going on. So that's really cool, man.
Yep.
And and she's part of the Autorama circuit. So I think it's very cool.
Yep.
Very cool.
So, no complaints.
Well, I'm glad I finally tracked you down.
Glad to be here.
And that was awesome. Well, thanks for chatting and being on the show, man.
Hell yeah, buddy.
Yeah. So now what are you doing the rest of the night here? Just chilling out the booth?
Hang out.
Just hang out?
Yep.
No stress and nothing like that. It's kind of easy going now.
I'm pretty easy going.
That's cool. Well, maybe in 3 years we'll look you up and have you do something for us.
Cool, buddy.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, thanks for being on the show, brother.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
All right.